Hey, you're listening to Innovators Can Laugh, the fun startup podcast. I'm your host, Eric Nocher. On ICL, we interview an innovative entrepreneur in the European tech startup scene every week. My goal is to have my guests share their wisdom while having a little fun in the process. Now let's dive in. All right, Yannick. So Hypefury, I've been using this tool, for about 3 or 4 months. I like it. I think it's a great scheduling tool for social media, particularly Twitter. I found out it because people were talking about it on Twitter, and I like it. I like that, that you can actually have evergreen posts. I like the autoplug posts that appear after a certain amount of likes. So how did you get the idea for Hypefury? Just tell us about that origin story.
Yeah. So I actually didn't create Hypefury. I met the founder when he built it, a couple months in. So Sammy, actually what he did, he tweeted like, hey, is there actually a scheduling tool that lets you schedule threads? And there were none back then. This was like over 2 years ago. And he was in a couple of communities because he was into fitness coaching, and all these people were using Twitter, and they were like, hey, you have to build this. This is great. I want to schedule threads. I can't right now. I can only use the Twitter interface, and just it sucks. So he started building. I don't know. It took him a couple of days or weeks, not even weeks. I think a couple of days to build like the MVP, so you could schedule a tweet and a thread, and that was it. And he was in all these communities with these Twitter hotshots who had a lot of followers, and he just plugged it there, and they all loved it. He started a closed beta, and that he just kept building features people wanted. And now where we started with like a vanilla scheduler, we're now a tool that gets you more inspiration. It allows you to create better content, and once you have that content out, it also allows you to just get more engagement, get more newsletter subscribers. So it's a lot more than it was a couple of years ago, where it just was a scheduling tool.
Okay, now how did you guys meet? Obviously on Twitter. Is that how you met Sammy?
No, actually not. So I sold my startup 6 months to a year before we met. So as I was back doing some contracting work, and I was on the lookout. What's going to be my next thing? I was thinking, do I want to start something, or do I want to help grow something? And I was on the Indie Hackers forum, just browsing. I did that like once a week, and I went to the growth section or the partner section, and people advertise saying, hey, I'm looking for a co-founder. I'm either a tech guy looking for a marketing person, or a marketing person looking for tech. And so Sammy was one of the people who posted. He showed his product, that there was a little bit of traction, and I just reached out and said to him, hey, I'm pretty good at marketing. I would love to get to meet you, see you for a match. So I flew to Paris, stayed there for the weekend. We just had food and drinks and enjoyed ourselves, and got to know each other a little bit. And we decided I would do a quote unquote internship, a marketing internship. So I would just show Sammy that I was not full of shit, but I could also literally grow a business, which I did. Our MR grew nicely, and after a couple of months, we became business partners.
Okay.
Still doing that ever since.
Now, what were some of the first things that you started focusing on in order to grow Hypefury, in order to get some more traction?
Yeah, so I was looking at different price points. So back then we only had the software, which was I thought like $9, so it's pretty cheap, and we had a $29 or $39 premium plan. And I was looking at, well, there are people who just have a lot more money. They want to grow faster. So let's start a not even a growth course, but like a do it with you cohort. So I started reaching out to people. We started opening up a course where people could sign up, and we'd have different tiers to help people grow. So you'll have like a almost self-serve, so where we'd give you more info, we'd dive into your profile, get you tips on how to tweet, your bio, stuff like that. And we'd have like a full service thing where we'd write tweets for you, change your bio, engage for you, stuff like that. And so that grew our MR very nicely. That was one of the things I did. And then I immediately started doing SEO. I knew that wouldn't take off for months to come, but right now we have like hundreds of thousands of organic search visits every year, and that's all because I started a couple of years back building content, and since then we've started doing a lot of email marketing, a lot of other stuff. Yeah, that's part I do.
Okay, so you have this on your track record, building a startup, selling it, and then now you're growing Hypefury. I'm kind of curious, what's an important truth about growing a startup that people might disagree with with you when it comes to marketing?
Question. Well, like my first startup, I think a lot of people, they can build like a huge product, build it for a year and then launch it to the public. What we did was literally we built an MVP for 1 month. It was like Uber for service professionals. That was my first startup. And what we did was we created a small MVP. The first thing we did was we went to like the biggest city here in the Netherlands, Amsterdam. We got a couple of service professionals. We had no clue what would be like the hit. We just had, an electrician, a handyman, a plumber, somebody who could do, vermin control, stuff like that. And we had no idea what we were up against, what kind of categories would perform well. So I just started a Google AdWords campaign, bid on a bunch of keywords, and we just, made a couple of wagers what category would be the first job. And it was like, I don't know, wasps, taking out a wasp nest somewhere. That was like the first job. But there was in no way like the most important category after like we've been doing it for like 3-6 months, like plumbing and electrician. So you really need to test your assumptions. But in fact, we started like broad in a very small area so we could test, see what worked. And then once we knew what the hot categories were, we just did the same thing in all the major cities in the Netherlands. And then we went to Belgium and then, so.
Were you bootstrapping this at the time or were you raising funds for this?
Well, we were with 3 partners, like the 2 guys who were working in the business. That was me and my co-founder. Another guy, he didn't do anything, but he had some cash. So he was putting in $5,000 a month to keep us afloat. And we were, doing everything with that $5,000. And then, once funds started coming in from like the jobs we were doing, we had more money to spend in marketing, hire people, stuff like that. And after, I don't know, I think about a year, that's when we raised our first round.
Okay. And before you sold it, what was the MRR on this?
Good question. We did, I don't know, 2-3 million ARR, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, Hypefury, are you guys also, is this been primarily bootstrapped or have you raised any investment for this?
No. So it's all self-funded, bootstrap, however you want to call it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, I saw this post that you did on LinkedIn, and we're still sticking with marketing here, Yannick. You said marketing isn't the most valuable startup skill. Creating something people talk about is. Okay. Why do you think this? And how have you been able to get people talking about Hypefury?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of, like vanilla e-com stores, or you have a lot of businesses that think, well, marketing can solve our problem. Well, that's usually not the case. You need a very good product. And then it's a lot easier for marketing to get people to talk about you. And so I genuinely don't like selling our product. I like to show what people, what kind of results people get with it. And yeah, if you listen to your audience, but not necessarily always build what they want, but think a little bit ahead. Like, I know people want to grow their email list, but it's hard to do that on Twitter. What can we think of that will help them grow their email list? And if we build cool automation features, people are talking about that because it works. Because you have those auto plugs. If you have a tweet that does well, we auto comment something you've pre-written, you get a bunch of email subscribers, and people love that. It's just on autopilot. Same with like auto DMs. You create a lead magnet, you share it on Twitter, say, hey, I created something for free. Just reply with, I don't know, something, and we'll DM you the link. And that works perfectly. So your lead gen now goes on autopilot. And yeah, we could do a lot of marketing there, a lot of push marketing, but people are just incentivized to talk about that because it works so well. And the product is good, and that's why people want to talk about it.
That's awesome. So at the beginning, people were talking about, hey, you can use this tool for threads. And then I found out it because of the auto plug feature, right? I think that got my curiosity, and that's why I checked it out, and that's why I use it now. Is there another feature that people talk about Hypefury about that they get excited?
Well, I think like recurrent posts is pretty, I think it's a very powerful feature, but not many people use it. So how it works is literally, usually when people create content, they create content for one particular niche or category. I've just read a book about marketing. I don't know, building a story brand. I'm going to create tweets based off that book. But instead of just creating, 10, 20 tweets about that book, I can put them in recurrent posts, create a category, and say every Monday at 9 a.m., I'm going to tweet something about that book. And now you have 10 or 20 weeks worth of content, which also gets recycled. So when those 10 or 20 tweets have been posted, we start at the first one again. And so in 10 or 20 weeks, a lot of people won't have remembered that you posted that tweet, and you've gotten a lot more new followers so they won't even have seen that tweet. So you're automating your timeline. And the funny thing is that the more you do it, the more traction you get. So in the beginning, I thought, well, I don't know if this is going to work, but I use it myself for marketing tips and stuff like that. And I keep getting more and more engagement. With posts I've tweeted, I don't know, like 6 months or a year ago for the first time. So that really works as well.
Now, you haven't always been an entrepreneur. I understand that you actually got fired from a job one time, and this opened your eyes into entrepreneurship. Do you care to share that story and what happened?
Yeah. So I was employed by a business that like outsources management traineeships. And so I was outsourced to like a big bank. I knew that was the deal, but I hated working at that bank. And what they did was say, well, you have a fixed contract here. You have to stay here for 1.5 years at that bank. You can't go anywhere else. And I was like, I really hate it here. I don't want to stay here. Please, let me go to another place. But they had a contract with that bank, of course, and they wanted to keep people.
What was wrong with the bank? I mean, was it just a boring job or what?
Well, it was a bit more IT focused, a lot less marketing focused. So I didn't like it. It was a lot of financial stuff, and I thought it was really boring. I wanted to be closer to where the action was, people, marketing. That was a lot more me then. But I only found that out when I started doing the job, of course. And so I told the bank that I just wasn't happy, and the bank wasn't my employer, of course. So they reached out to my employer and said, hey, this guy here, Yannick, he doesn't really like working here. What are we going to do with it? So I was in breach of contract. I had to pay like a tuition fee because there was like a whole program behind that. So I had to pay more money in the tuition fee than I earned the entire time I was employed there. But the great thing is, I think I don't know, in the 6 months after I got fired, I think I earned more money than the tuition fee I had to pay. So, and that was because I opened my eyes. I got into contact with a lot of different people. I went into digital marketing, and it just that was what opened my eyes to just a different world, and to become an entrepreneur. No, not long after that.
Okay. I also saw somewhere on your profile that in 2019, I'm not sure if this is a certification or a degree, but something from the University of California, Berkeley, the Science of Happiness. Why did you do this course? And what is this course about, Yannick?
Yeah, it's actually a free course from Berkeley. Yeah, basically it just teaches you what are the aspects of a happy life. Now, this was 3 years ago, but it's like, spend time with your family, don't overdo work. Yeah, I can't remember all the theory, but basically it was just giving you like interesting ideas and concepts and research on what a happy person does and what are things that if you feel shit you shouldn't do.
Okay. Now, have you designed your life for happiness? So, like, are there any life hacks that you have worked for you recently?
Well, after I got fired, I started working at a digital marketing agency, and everybody was doing a side business there. So I know it was the first week, but definitely in the second week, I started my side business as well. And we all just created like websites, different projects that got in passive income. And like the first month I started that website, I had like 15 cents of AdSense income. And that just kept on growing. So the second one, it was $10. And then it went up to like 4 or 5K a month. And literally I didn't have to work anymore. And so that was a really important part of my life. And I've continued, I still have like 100 websites that give me passive income. And so that gives me a lot of freedom. I don't need to work full time. I can choose to work less. And now my wife, she has a hernia, so I have to do a lot more at home. I have to bring the kids to school, pick them up, do a lot more in the household. So I because of that design I did a couple of years back, saying, hey, I wanna have passive income. I now have a much more relaxed life, even though I have a little bit more on my shoulders because my wife is out for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, plus the kids, right? I mean, the kids is 24/7. It's a job that never ends. Yeah.
Hopefully one day they'll move out, and but that's gonna take a while still.
Okay. Now for some fun questions. These are quirky questions that kind of reveal your personality for the audience. The first question for you, Yannick, is what attractive celebrity would you set your phone's wallpaper to? Okay. What attractive celebrity would you set your phone's wallpaper to?
That's good. It's a Dutch model. I don't know how you pronounce her name in English, but Douze Kroes. And I think she's really a very good looking lady.
Okay.
I would set my background to that. Yeah.
All right. Next question for you. What's something weird that you obsess about?
Something weird that I obsess about.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of obsessions. That's probably maybe the weird thing. I'm a really down to earth guy. Like my wife, she can obsess about the smallest things. Like yesterday we had to create like a WhatsApp group to invite the kids to my son's birthday party, and she can take an hour to how do I word this? Am I doing this okay? And I'm like, just send a message. Don't worry. I'm like, yeah. And so that's probably the weird thing. I don't freak out at all, And then I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but just
Okay. And last question for you. What's one thing that you're really good at, probably better than most people, especially when it comes to like growing a startup or digital marketing?
Yeah, I think my real skills are like probably the SEO stuff and the PPC thing. So I'm really good at looking, when I got on board at Hypefury, I immediately looked at, okay, like what are the important keywords? What do we need to focus on right now, which will get us, some search traffic in 1 or 2 years time. I know that there's like a lot of competition on some keywords. So we need to start 2 years ago for it to now bring us the fruits of our labor. So yeah, I've been doing that for like, 12, 15 years now. So I'm pretty experienced in doing that.
What tools do you use for that?
Ahrefs, Search Console, Google Analytics, mostly that. And I go to like a conference at least once a year. It's called Search Love. It's in London, where a lot of people talk about not only search, but also search and CRO and analytics, stuff like that. So to keep a little bit of my knowledge base up to speed, because I used to like really dive into blogs and YouTube videos, but right now just do a 2-day conference to just get everything over in a short period of time.
Yeah. For Hypefury, I'm just curious, how many people are in the company right now?
About 20. I think we have 7, 8 people in the marketing team right now. We have, I think 6, 7 devs. We have a couple of people doing customer success, and then some people who are on and off, some designers, and then other people. Yeah.
Yeah. The onboarding process to me was awesome. I think there was like 10 steps, and I remember going through them and I just thought, wow, this is really amazing. Very good experience being, in the onboard. Yannick, where can people learn more about you?
Yeah. So you can go to hypefury.com for our business, and Yannick_Wijs. Maybe you could put that in the show notes, because it's impossible for people to decipher that on Twitter.
All right, we'll do. Yannick, thanks so much for being on Innovators Can Laugh. For everybody listening, this is Yannick Wijs, co-founder of Hypefury. Thanks, Yannick.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks. It's been a blast. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Feel free to tell others about the podcast, help us grow, and always listen to myself at innovatorscanlaugh.com, where you could hear more entrepreneurs and innovators from the European tech space. Cheers. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you could give us a review and star rating. Also, don't forget to sign up for the ICO newsletter at innovatorscanlaugh.com, where you can get the bio and details of each guest. Thanks.